Hi, everybody. Martin Stransky here today, and it's my great pleasure to invite friend and colleague Yaniv Zaid, who I met at the London Book Fair. We were both there presenting our books, and his book is called The Sales Bible. And it's a very interesting book because Yaniv is an international lecturer on the art of persuasion. And the art of persuasion has to do with the human mind, and that's something that I'm interested in. And in my book, I explore the emergence of the human mind, but I also explore the ways that digital technology is attacking the sensibilities and the capabilities of the human mind. So I wanted to see how the emergence of the digital world interacts with some very, very basic neurologic brain principles regarding sales and persuasion. Yaniv?
Yeah, it's one way to describe it. Yeah, I think sales evolve as we evolve, but there are some methods and some principles based on the human brain that stays forever, even in the digital era, and maybe especially in the digital era, because we have lots of noise out there and lots of proposal everywhere. We have the AI, we have lots of people trying to convince us all the time. But there are certain techniques that if you implement it, it allows you to be the best manager you can be, the best salesperson you can be, even in the 21st century. So this is why I wrote the book. So I think our theses align with one another.
Okay, but in today's world, in my book, and I'm not just the only one who's saying this, the human brain is increasingly more and more drawn to emotions because the digital culture is pushing us away from logic and prolonged, meaningful debate. So how would you respond to that?
I think first of all, you need to have a great balance between logic and emotions. The facts and the examples. If you try to sell something to someone or try to describe an idea, you need to have a combination of the logic, meaning facts, surveys, something like that people can align to, and also to treat people with emotions, meaning examples and stories about yourself and failures, stories about failures, stories about success, something like that. So the combination of logic and emotions are the ultimate way to reach everyone or as many people as possible. And I think also that people need to relate to you. People need to relate to you. They need to feel that they know you, they like you, they trust you before they will buy from you. And in my book, I describe all those stages, how you can make people like you, how can you make people know about you, and how can you make people trust you, even though they didn't become customers yet.
Okay, but I still feel, and I think the evidence shows it, that in today's world, people are really more and more increasingly drawn to emotions and not facts. That's because the part of our brain that created emotions is the oldest part, and it simply dominates and it does it better. Facts are such that they're being shortened, they're being condensed, and they're being put into sort of addictive little digital sound bites. A perfect example of emotions over facts is, in my opinion, the election of Donald Trump as president of the United States. The interesting question is, could Trump have been elected at any other time other than the digital age, which basically prefers reality TV and TikTok type thinking over real debate?
You are right in everything, but he's also a great marketer and a great campaigner. And I will tell you how I know it because before he went into politics in the 80s, he wrote a great book. It's called The Art of Making a Deal. It's a great book about negotiation. And the story, the way people relate to him is either they hate him or they like him, is he's very interesting figure. And his story was that he was a second generation of real estate in New York, and he wrote a book about how to make money and how to make money in real estate. Now, if the story was just practical tools about how to make money in real estate, it's not that interesting, because he was a second generation of real estate in New York. Just in New York City, we have thousands of people like him, so it's not really interesting. But what is interesting interesting in his story is that he inherited an amount, a few $100 million from his father. And a few years later managed to become bankrupt and lost all the money and become bankrupt. And then a few years later, he managed against all odds to make all the money again, even more money. And then in a miraculous way, he managed to lose all the money again. The joke is that all his books it ends in chapter 11, because chapter 11 is bankruptcy in the United States. And then he managed, after a few years, to become a multi-billionaire. Now, this is an interesting story, the resurrection, the resurrection that he rises, falls and rises, falls and rises, falls and rises. This is what makes him a great character. So people can relate with it. This is a great story. So maybe his facts are not correct, and maybe his policy, some people like it, some people not, but people related to him from early stages before politics, because he's a very interesting figure, and he knows to talk about, our fears, our interests, our problems, and consider himself as the solution to the problems and the answer to our needs.
Okay, but at the end of the day, the question to ask is, what's going to happen when we have a president in the United States who systematically lies, who cherry picks facts, who distorts the truth, who's a pathological narcissist, who's been a convicted felon, who's been impeached twice? Do facts and the cherry picking of facts have any value as opposed to real facts and real truth in becoming a world leader today?
Yeah. First of all, you're very right, but let me analyze this way, because I think there are facts and there are what people think about the facts. And there are some research that, for example, there was an accident and people saw it. Few people saw it, and then they asked them what happened. And there are people, they don't know the driver, they don't know the victim. Okay, and people gave different answers of what happened, because each one related on his, perspective and the way he saw it and the way he thinks about things like that. And when they ask them, even if you ask someone, if you ask them, what did you see about the accident, for example, or did you see this guy hits this guy or something like that? So the way you ask the question made the answers become different, So this is how our brain works, So we see something and we analyze it differently because of our background, because of our thing. So today, I think the argument is, what are the facts, So sometimes there are facts, 1 + 1 = 2. Okay, this is fact, this is basic math. But for most things that happening, it's very hard, to say these are the facts. For example, if you said is a convicted felony, okay, this is the fact. But if I think that the court treat him, if is a raving fast, and I think the court treat him badly, or they treat him, they charge him because he's from the wrong opinion, the wrong side of the political map, then I say, okay, he's a convicted felon, but I don't care, because I think that the system is broken or something like that.
Well, what you said is really interesting, because it actually has to do with perspective and opinion versus fact. The late Senator Daniel Moynihan has a famous quote, and maybe it's just not his: every person is entitled to their opinion, or in this case, perspective, but they're not entitled to their own facts. They're not entitled to their own truth. A court may sentence a person one way, but that sentence is truth. So again, perception, emotion versus facts. But let's turn the page. Let's talk about the next culprit or potential savior on the horizon, artificial intelligence. And we in neurology, of course, aside from the medical applications of AI, have a problem with artificial intelligence. At least many of us do, because quite simply put, anything that does your thinking for you, that makes your life easier, means that your brain is going to get lazier. And as a result, your brain isn't going to be as smart. What's your take on AI?
I am optimistic by nature, so I think that AI brings us lots of challenges, but also lots of opportunities. I think we're not dumb, or we are even getting smarter, because AI allows us to, to achieve achievements that wouldn't dream of, 5, 10, 50 years ago. So I think that we have lots of challenges. I think that it make the AI. Force us human beings to become excellent in what we do, because if you are mediocre, then I can replace you. I am also a lawyer and I have a PhD in law, so we talk about in law that you can be very smart in law and very mediocre. So if you're mediocre and you just you come to me as a client and you say write me an agreement, and I just take an agreement from the internet, or take some file that I have in my computer, just change the name and give you the agreement, then AI can replace me. They can replace it can replace me now, and also in the future and in the past. But if I'm smart and I'm an excellent lawyer, and I can bring some unique perspective as a lawyer in courthouse or in agreement, then AI still can't replace the human brain completely. It can try. I think it's still lack of emotion, the AI. I think if you know AI enough, then you know when you get CV from people that AI wrote it, and when they wrote it. I think when you see a book that was written by AI in consideration of a human being. So I think we need to get excellent in what we do. We need to be the best version of ourselves, and we need to use AI smartly, so AI won't replace us.
Wow, what a paradox. If I understand you correctly, and I hope I do, you're actually saying that we need to keep pushing our neurological capabilities so that AI won't replace us, while it is we who have invented AI. And even though AI is a program that, if I understand it correctly, is programmed to go into the unknown and not even to understand or reflect on itself. So it's kind of like this constant ping pong effect that as soon as we as biological entities catch up to something the computer has created, we're actually going to be waiting or pushing that computer to create something that's better than us, that's going to put us out of work, if not make us extinct. So it's kind of like playing Russian roulette. We're just putting the digital bullet into the gun and spinning it around and waiting to see when AI is going to take over. And of course, at that point, somebody will pull the plug and we won't be here. So, but at the same time, for the average human being, AI and digital technology is making life far more comfortable than actually it really needs to be. It really is making us lazier. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I think I agree. I agree with you, by the way, that most people are lazy, and we see it in schools and universities that people are handed an example or something, or exam or homework to do, and they immediately turn to the AI, write me the homework or the chart. But again, if you do it and you're mediocre and you just rely on the AI to do it for you, then again, someday or maybe today it can replace you. But if you use it as a tool, and then you analyze it, and then you ask questions, and then you use it for the right purpose, and I agree, most people won't do it because they're lazy and they prefer someone will shorten their learning curve. But if you use it to become excellent, I think you have a great things. And sometimes there is a evolution or revolution, whatever you call it, but it's like the advantage of cars, or advantage of computers. Each stage the humanity takes a step forward. So I always prefer stepping forward and not going backwards. And again, I guess people like us had the same discussion 20 years ago, 50 years ago, 80 years ago, and where the humanity is going to go. I think we can adapt as human beings. With your permission, I will stay optimistic.
Okay, so what's the role of AI in sales and marketing today? What happens when you take the person out of the picture?
Yeah, if you talk about sales and marketing, for example, today there are lots of automation in sales and marketing. And there are bots that can answer a great amount of clients, and you can answer people, you can follow up clients automatically and everything. But at the end of the day, and this is something I write in my book, there are principles of sales and marketing that didn't change, and there's still no replacement for personal attention, and great service. and to treat you like human being, and to have face-to-face meetings and not Zoom meetings or not phone calls, and to phone someone and not just WhatsApp him or send messages or something like that. So if we turn to the basic, the principles of connecting with one another, it's something that I think doesn't go away, and AI still can't replace it. Yeah, can't replace it. Yeah, they can try, but they're always the secret ingredient of the human thing that they can't replace.
Yeah, but AI is everywhere. I mean, it's really taken over marketing and sales even at the everyday level. You go to a restaurant and you're forced to pull out your phone and scan some sort of a QR code just to get a menu. The person just isn't in the picture anymore.
Yeah, but we've met in London 2 months ago in the London Book Fair, right? So in London, for example, everything is used. You pay everything by phone. You don't use cash at all. Even Subway. I went to see football, English football in the stadium. They sent me a card, not even a PDF card, immediately to my digital wallet. And you show your iPhone in the entrance of the stadium. So you can say. There are people that maybe used to check your ticket and now you don't need it, to just everything is automatically, but the experience is even better, so humanity will adjust, will adjust. You ask what about people that they don't have jobs anymore? They will find a way, they will find new jobs, will find something to do. You won't have billions of people running around with nothing to do. There will be new jobs, there will be new adaptation. And again, maybe we had the same conversation 8 years ago, 50 years ago, when the industrial revolution or something happened, and people say, "What about all the factories? Who will do all the work if the machines will replace human beings?" So again, I'm optimistic.
So as far as reading in general is concerned, do you think that AI is a positive influence or a negative influence?
Yeah, so I will say yes. And first of all, the book industry is also adapting itself. For example, we had only printed book 20, 30 years ago, and then we had digital book, and then we have audio book, and today we have chat books. And something that I work with today with a new startup is about creating my Echo, my AI figure that you can ask me, because we both wrote non-fiction books. So the problem in non-fiction books is how to implement it afterwards. So the AI can solve this problem, because you can come to consult with me face to face or by Zoom. Okay, you can come to my workshops, to my lectures. But today, in few years from now, you can ask the digital echo of Dr. Yaniv Zaid. You can ask question about the book. So you can ask him, okay, you can summarize this book for me if you are lazy, but if you are smart, you will read the book, and then you will say, for example, during a negotiation, well, Dr. Zaid, I'm now in negotiation this and this. What do you say? How to handle it? So instead of asking me, you will have an echo that aligns with all of my materials, that read all of my books and can answer you question, and then I can reach more people. So I guess this will be the way that we'll read books. Most of people will read books 5 or 10 years from now. It's like the rest of you.
Yeah, but I mean, what you're saying here is that you're essentially going to be cloning yourself into a simpler, more streamlined, and for lack of a better word, perhaps less thought through, i.e. a dumber version. We're again getting to the point where you're offering little digital bites of yourself as opposed to the real me.
It's not okay. Cloning is one way to describe it, but it's a way to reach more people. That people can today. I have a limited amount of time and energy, right, to answer to people. But if there is a digital Dr. Yaniv Zaid who based on all of my writings, not general writings, and people can buy, for example, subscribe to my Echo, and they can ask questions whenever they want. Okay, I can reach more people, but more people can benefit my knowledge, So this is the new. I'm not saying, by the way, it's good or bad. I think it's good because it allows me to reach with my good knowledge, okay, with my good values, to as many people as possible. I agree that.
Yeah, but the problem here is that with students now going into college, and there was an amazing survey out not too long ago, I think it was in the New York Times, that almost 80 to 85% of high school graduates who are applying to elite institutions haven't read a book from cover to cover. Number two, standardized test scores of these students year by year in all developed countries are going down. Graduating classes are, quite simply put, getting dumber.
But they still manage to finish school. So who is the system broke? The universities.
Yes, but is that the way to go forward? Basically, just to accept the status quo?
I first of all, I read some of your book. I have it here, so I enjoyed very much, and I think you have a great resume. And I think again that if you are an expert, I would like to clone you, for example, and have a little Martin in my day life, and then I can ask if I have some situation, I can ask, well, Martin, what would you do? And many people like me, I think again, if you have great knowledge, then you can multiply it through AI, so it's a good thing. And I guess again, maybe the standards are changing, maybe the people are getting stupider, in quotation, according to some tests, but I think that we can evolve and we can replace ourselves. But I think I will ask you, if you are such a pessimistic, and I think pessimism is not a way of life and a way of approach, because again, so what do you consider us doing? What is your recommendation? Just staying pessimistic and come to a restaurant and cry cry in quotation that they didn't give you a printed menu? What do you suggest me to do if I approach you?
Well, the answer actually is a simple one, and that's what my book is about. It's about returning to what we would call our biological imperative, about realizing that we create technologies, but technologies then create us. This isn't a one-way street to some sort of utopian prosperity. It's a very dangerous street where we're actually giving up, literally, thousands and thousands of years of evolutionary capabilities that we've derived, that we've layered into our brains over time to become a thinking, problem-solving animal on planet Earth. And now we're in the process of giving those up and giving those away to technologies that are quite literally running away on the field of humanity with the ball in their hands. And of course, the great danger here, as outlined by many people, including by the famous astrophysicist Enrico Fermi, now called the Fermi paradox, which is basically that when any biological entity continues to transfer its intellectual powers and even its reproductive capabilities to something technological, the risk of extinction, or at least severe damage, greatly increases because somebody will come along and pull the plug.
What do you mean by pulling the plug?
It's very simple. It's quite literally pulling the electrical plug, and even metaphorically, basically, when all of humanity is working, as you all know, Harari, the historian and philosopher, said, to conspire a situation where we're becoming a human anthill. There's no more diversity. There's total dependence on this interdigital, interglobal technological dependency, so that when anybody infiltrates a viral program or shuts down the electricity, as happened not too long ago in Spain, entire countries shut down. There was a recent infiltration into Microsoft Word systems where entire police forces, hospitals shut down, telecommunications shut down, airports shut down. And when this happens, even if it happens for a short time, it has the potential to spread, and it has the potential to create chaos and panic, particularly in a society that's become lobotomized in terms of being able to think, create, and solve problems on its own. We are really increasingly gravely dependent on our lives existing because of our intertwinement with technology. And that's where I see the danger.
In my opinion, I agree with what you say, but I think humanity will find a way. I don't see a scenario that wars and then things like that will happen all the time. But But I think we'll find a way. I think we'll have the same discussion about cars or about something like that allows us. You told us sometimes people today, for example, we sit all the time in front of computers, and then we have 1 hour walk up the day. And 50 years ago, 60 years ago, people just walked all day because they didn't have cars or just rode a bicycle or something like that. But I think we'll find a way to adapt. I don't think people will go reverse, and give away their phones or give away their computers. But I think we'll find a way, and hopefully I'm right and not you because of the the bad scenario you just described. Yes, but it's not something I wish for my kids. I see for myself more opportunities than if I was born 50 years ago, and I see for my kids more opportunities than if they were born 50 years ago. Again, they can be lazy. They can ask AI to do everything for them. They can do that, but I think in the right education, the right behavior, we can adapt as humanity and we can move forward.
Yaniv, thank you very much. I'm honored and glad to be able to have this talk with you. And I welcome your optimism. For me as a neurologist and as a physician, our job is always to assume the worst when we come up against a difficult condition and eliminate it. So that is why I'm sounding the alarm. But either way, good luck to all of us, and especially good luck to our children. And thank you for coming on the podcast with me.
Thank you for your great work, and thank you for your knowledge. Thank you very much, Martin. Thank you for all the listeners and viewers, and hopefully we can meet again in the book fairs, international book fairs, and other conferences, and share our knowledge with as many people as possible. Thank you very much.